Hey guys, welcome to the end of the semester. I hope you guys are not too stressed with your papers right now and are pretty close to being done. As it's almost time to turn your papers in. I wanted to go over a few things that we've seen, some errors, some common errors in your formatting for your final paper. So we're just going to go through a few things. I promise this video won't be very long, but we want you to succeed. So here we go. It's not letting me go forward. There we go. So I wanted to go over the different level headings because we've seen that some of you aren't really understanding when you use them. So a level 1 heading, first of all, your paper should have 3 of them. And the third level 1 heading should be labeled discussion, not conclusion. Many of you have written conclusion. We want you to title it discussion, and all of your papers will have it regardless of what you're writing about. When you write out your level 1 headings, they should be bolded, centered, and in upper and lowercase, just as in pretty much any other title. So as you can see right here, I have an example of, this is actually from my paper that I wrote in this class. And as you can see, my title is Anxiety in Athletics. That's my level 1 heading. A level 1 heading should only have 1 paragraph under it. And it should be just a brief explanation of what you're going to go into in further detail underneath this level 1, okay? So my broad idea is Anxiety in Athletics. Next we have our level 2 headings. These should be bold, left justified, just like right here, and in upper and lowercase, same as the first level heading. Each of your level 2 headings should have at least 2 paragraphs underneath them. So this level 2 heading goes underneath the one I just showed you here. So the main idea is Anxiety in Athletics, and I go a little deeper into social anxiety disorder or social discomfort. And so then this is only one of the paragraphs, but this level 2 heading has 2 paragraphs underneath it. Third are the level 3 headings. You don't have to use these, but you need to use at least level 2 headings. But a level 3 heading would go underneath a level 2 heading or after a level 2 heading. And level 3 headings are the most different compared to the other 2. They should be bolded, indented as if they're the beginning of the paragraph, and typed as if they're the first sentence. So you would only capitalize proper pronouns and the first word. Other than that, it's just like a sentence in bold. And then you start your paragraph right after it. And level 3 headings would also have at least 2 paragraphs, but could have 3. These are the most detailed, and usually this is where you would put case studies. So this level 3 heading is underneath this level 2 heading in my paper. So I went Anxiety in Athletics, social anxiety disorder, and then I talk about social anxiety in education. So as you can see, it just gets more narrow, each and every level heading. So in general, some problems we've seen is not knowing when to use a level 2 versus a level 3 heading. So just keep in mind that under every level 1 heading, so you'll have 3 level 1 headings, under each of those you need to either have 2 level 2 headings and the 2 paragraphs for each of those, or 1 level 2 heading and 1 level 3 heading, or if you really want to go into detail, you can use 2 level 2 headings and then a level 3 heading underneath those as well. Please make sure that you never have 2 level 1 headings in a row. That means you can't go super broad and super broad again. You need to go broad and then more in detail, and then you can go back to broad if you want to. But you should never have just level 1 headings in a row. So this is the entirety of my paper, the whole formatted structure, and I showed them in the order they would go in. So this is my first level 1 heading, my first level 2 heading, and then my first level 3 heading. So once I get over this general anxiety topic, I then talk about anxiety and athletics, and then I go deeper. A level 2 and a level 3. And then my discussion, I had a lot to say, so I'd use 2 level 2 headings and then a level 3 heading to better explain my second level 2 heading. So you can keep this up as you write your paper and make sure your paper's formatted this way. I'm also going to send out my actual paper in this email so that you can look at it and just even compare your paper to my paper or Benson's paper, which he sent out, and just make sure that it's formatted how we've formatted our papers, and you should be fine. And then just 2 more slides. So some other problems that we've seen in most of your papers so far are these things called anthropomorphisms and superfluous language. So an anthropomorphism is basically attributing a human quality or action to something that's non-human. So we've seen this in a lot of papers and it's pretty common, but the example that we have is the research found. Research can't find anything, but researchers can. So if you've written the study found or the research found, you should go back and look at your paper and change it to the researchers or just use their names. So right here is an example. Smith and Jones found that early childhood trauma is an important factor. And you would use their names in place of the study found. If you got your rough draft back already, ATP is what Brother Hill will write next to it. So if you have any notes that say ATP or anthropomorphism, that's what you need to change. Along with that, superfluous language, which Brother Hill marked as S/L. So if you got that, pay attention to this part. This is basically just like flowery language that takes up more space. Unfortunately, APA is not like MLA or like writing a paper for English. When you want to be very detailed and descriptive, APA wants to be very concise. So take out things like Smith did a study. You could just say Smith. So this first example, instead of saying Smith did a study describing the differences, you could just say Smith described the differences between depressed and happy primates. So I know it takes out some length of your paper, and I know that can be frustrating, but we need to avoid this type of writing. So please go back and look at your rough drafts that have been graded and check if you have S/L and fix that. Okay, final tips. Make sure all your paragraphs are 5 to 8 sentences long. You should never have a paragraph that is less than 5 sentences. And we really try not to go over 8 sentences or else it's too long. Make sure they're all left justified and that you're indenting the first line. And then if you're going to use an acronym, this is something we've seen in a few papers, you need to first write out the whole name and then put the acronym in parentheses, and then after that you can use just the acronym except for when you start a sentence, okay? So for example, if I was talking about the National Institute of Mental Health, I would have to write that out and then put NIM. And anytime I started a sentence with the National Institute, I would have to start it with the full name. You can't just write NIM stated to start a sentence. You always have to use the full name. And then finally, just use the spell checker and grammar checker before you turn in your paper. What I found helped best is to print it off or even just read it off my computer out loud to somebody else or just to myself, and you notice a lot more mistakes than you will if you just read it in your head. So that's all for this recording, but good luck on your papers. Please implement what's in this video, and Colton will be sending out another one to help you with in-text citations. So good luck, guys.